Australia's coverage of the National Road Series. It's the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley. It's the third round for the men, and we're here in Barnawatha in Victoria at a motor circuit, which is a testing ground, part of Wodonga TAFE, for Stage 2, the Criterium. They had a 1.6 kilometre Stage 1 time trial this morning on this particular circuit in the opposite direction, and now the men of the National Road Series have a 48 kilometre Criterium here for Stage 2. The National Road Series leader, though, is Aidan Tuvey. After winning the last couple of rounds, he's certainly been on fantastic form, and before the start of today's stage, I caught up with him. Benelong Swiss Wellness team. And Aidan, let's have a bit of a chat about the conditions firstly. We've had so many varied conditions already in the opening two rounds that we've had. Beautiful conditions in the Tweed Valley at the Battle Recharge a month or so ago. I'm sure you wish you were back up there in the Tweed Valley because it's pouring down here.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think you can't really beat the weather out there, but it is what it is. So you just got to deal with the conditions and just do the best you can.
What happens in a situation like this? We're about to start the second stage now, the Criterium. It's on a motor racing circuit or a testing ground, but it is very slippery, very wet. How do you tackle something like this, and especially with a strong team like you have?
Yeah, for sure. I think it will just depend on what we're trying to do, but I think we'll be either like, if you control it, it wouldn't be a bad course to try to control it on, just because it is quite treacherous and there will be more likely than not crashes. So you just got to try and stay out of trouble and hopefully factor in a few of the preems in the finale.
Now, the other riders that you'll be up against from the other teams, you know, what are you expecting? And have you been surprised by the strength and the depth of the National Road Series in these first couple of races?
Yeah, for sure. I think it just shows the like you said, the depth that Australian cycling has, and all the juniors coming up. And the winner today, Jensen Plowright, put in an awesome ride. And yeah, just really good to see the next generation coming through.
Well, good luck in the Criterium this afternoon, and then, of course, for the next couple of days. Stay upright. That's going to be the #1 priority, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. See how we can go. Thanks.
Okay, good luck to Aidan. Well, Aidan Tuvey's showing fantastic form this season, so really riding very well with the Benelong Swiss Wellness team. He's part of the team that's been the most dominant force within the National Road Series for the last decade, and they certainly haven't changed anything in 2018, doing very, very well indeed. We're now just a couple of laps into the men's Criterium here, Stage 2 of the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley, and certainly very fast on this motor circuit here in Barnawatha. The wind has picked up slightly since we had the women's Criterium earlier today, the time trials earlier on in the morning, and the sun has come out finally. So it's been overcast all day. This morning it was absolutely pelting with rain, and everyone was very nervous about having to race in the pouring rain in the Criteriums. But the sun has come out. The roads are still nice and damp though, and we saw, unfortunately, Charlotte Lucas go down in the Criterium for the women on the final corner. For the men, they'll be travelling a little bit quicker, no doubt, and it is all about the National Road Series, of course, and Aidan Tuvey is the overall series leader after 2 rounds. This is round 3 of the National Road Series, and we can take a chance to have a look at the overall standings in the NRS. After 2 rounds of racing, the Battle Recharge in the Tweed Valley, and then the Tour of the Great South Coast. Aidan Tuvey from Benelong Swiss Wellness on a nice, clean, rounded number of 500 points. Only 20 points ahead of Raphael Freienstein, riding for the Inform Make team. He certainly did a great performance last week at the Battle at the Tour of the Great South Coast. And Nick White from Oliver's Real Food Racing, the youngster from Ballarat, showed some fantastic sprinting ability at the last round of the NRS and put himself up into 3rd overall ahead of Brian Thomas. Cameron Scott riding with the ACA Academy team. In 5th place, Oliver Martin, the Tasmanian that's really popped up into the National Road Series in the first couple of rounds as well. So Aidan Tuvey with a 20-point lead over Raphael Freinstein, and of course Benelong Swiss Wellness. They have been the dominant force. They are once again leading the team's classification ahead of Inform Make. And Inform Make, apart from Raphael Freinstein, the 27-year-old German import, they do have a lot of young riders in that team, so names of the future. Brisbane Continental Cycling Team in 3rd place on 337 points. They have a new naming rights sponsor in Rabble.com, new kit as well to go with it. And 4th place, ACA, with so many of the track riders part of the Australian Team Pursuit squad. They're sitting there in 4th ahead of Oliver's Real Food Racing in 5th. So that's the team's classification for the National Road Series, thanks to Cycling Australia. This is round 3. It's the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley. And we can see just in the foreground a couple of riders inspecting their bikes. So there has been an early crash. 48-kilometre Criterium, same distance, same number of laps as what the women raced earlier today. 30 laps of this 1.6-kilometre motor circuit here in Barnawatha, just north of Wangaratta on the Hume Highway. There's Sam Welsford in the light blue. Kell O'Brien, his teammate, popping over the top of him very cautiously through that final corner, and you can just see the dry patches now starting to open up a little bit as the sun comes out. Finally, it was an atrocious start to the day with the rain. 26 laps to go. Kell O'Brien across the line. Look over the shoulder, and the attacks have been coming. Nothing really opening up. The speed is so high and fast on this circuit. Big peloton, 136 riders, 20 teams here at the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley. And so many fast sprinters. So the ACA Academy guys with Cameron Scott, Sam Welsford, Jonathan Noble, Kell O'Brien, Toby Orchard, Michael Potter and Elliot Schultz. But Welsford really showed how fast he was at the Tour of the Great South Coast, picking up a stage win and being prominent in a lot of the sprints. And Cameron Scott, who's a little bit sick coming in this week, so maybe not in great form for this particular tour, but he had a fantastic stage win in China recently at the high altitude tour known as the King High Lake Tour. Really difficult race, that one, at high altitude, and he had a great stage win. So the former track sprinter as an under-19, really coming through as a good rider. You can see all the riders in the background there. They've been caught up in that crash that happened last lap. And as they come around this time, it really has caused some damage. So that spill that we just missed off camera last lap really has done a lot of damage to the main field, starting to split up. You had a good view now of the whole circuit here at Barnawatha. It's part of Wodonga TAFE. It's their testing ground, so no motor racing as such done on it just yet. It's more about testing equipment, testing cars and vehicles. So therefore there's not much rubber that's been laid down, and certainly not much oil, which makes it safe for the riders, or safer when the roads do get wet. And this is the last corner. See the commissaire, a little bit of work to do. Dave Danson, a little bit of extra work to do with the crash that happened last lap, so allowing riders to get back into the peloton. 1.6-kilometre circuit, so it's a bit of a luxury for the guys to get a lap out on a circuit as long as this. It still qualifies as a criterium, so it's all fair and above board to take a lap out after a mechanical or a crash. And I can see, if I look across the circuit, there is a rider that's still having some issues, talking to one of the race officials in the middle of the circuit. And some blue sky finally. We've been waiting all day for the sun to come out, and you can see now the shiny conditions off the drying road. Hopefully it does dry out completely by the time we get to the end, especially the last corner where we saw Charlotte Lucas crash as she came around the final turn in 4th position, I think it was, in the women's race, right up there in the mix to go for the stage, and then crashing out that final corner, which is unfortunate. Raphael Freinstein from Inform Make on the attack. Benelong Swiss Wellness quick to shut that one down though. Second in the overall series, 20 seconds behind Aidan Tuvey. 20 points, I should say, behind Aidan Tuvey.
and no break got further off than a couple of seconds. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a similar situation evolve here today. As I said, there's no opportunity for a break to get out of sight. Quite often, that's all they need. They need to just get, 80, 120 metres ahead so they go out of sight and the bunch to get to that degree. But today, everybody's visible.
Well, a bit of a scramble here in the men's Criterium, stage 2 of the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley. And the King Valley, well, where is it? It's a beautiful part of Victoria, and the food and wine really is quite prominent.
Let's pack a bag and follow the sun. Kick off our shoes and have some fun. Get ready, get set, let's go. If we never go, we'll never know. 'Cause you and I, oh yeah, we could fly so high, so high. You and I won't let this moment pass us by.
Back to live pitches here, stage 2, the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley. And the King Valley really is a spectacular part of Australia. The food and wine in this region, second to none. And the Sam Miranda winery itself is on a section of the King Valley that they have nicknamed Prosecco Road. Famous worldwide, actually, for Prosecco, which originally is an Italian variety. And there was a bit of a court case from the Italians towards the growers here in this part of Australia for calling their grape Prosecco, and the King Valley won out in the end. So they grow fantastic Prosecco throughout the King Valley. Sam Miranda Winery is certainly one of those. Peloton controlled by Benelong Swiss Wellness, Aidan Tooby, their rider leading the National Road Series. Raphael Freinstein from Inform Make. You can see all the riders that have been caught out early on by crashes and misfortune. So only one crash in the women's race right at the very end on the final corner. The men's race, well, it's been carnage these opening few laps. 136 riders from 20 teams, all desperate to get towards the front of the peloton on a very fast-flowing motor circuit. And that has caused a few issues in these opening laps. Three-day tour here in the King Valley. 4 stages though. The opening day, this is stage 2, the Criterium, over 48 kilometres, 30 laps of this circuit. And the day was kicked off by a 1.6 kilometre individual time trial, raced in the opposite direction than they're going now around this particular circuit. So short and sharp, fast, and you'd expect all of the track stars. You see the 3 in the blue and white in positions 3, 4 and 5, 3 of the ACA Academy riders. They're the sort of riders we were expecting to do well in the opening time trial, but there was somewhat of a surprise, another name that popped up that really did show his form. Jensen Plowright, the youngster. He's only just turned 18, got the better of all of the established pros and semi-professionals of the National Road Series on the 1.6 kilometre circuit, so certainly a big name of the future to be just ahead of Sam Welsford. Sam Welsford, world record holder in the team pursuit and Commonwealth Games gold medalist from earlier this year. So Welsford getting done there by the youngster Jensen Plowright, the 18-year-old. So brilliant performance from the youngster. So he took on the first of the leaders' jerseys after 1.6 kilometres. And in the post-stage interview, he did say that he would then start looking for his teammates once they got into stage 2. He wasn't expecting to come out with the win on that first stage, but certainly a name of the future. We have seen him around the traps in Victoria, Jensen Plowright, very prominent in on the track and the velodrome in his under 19 days, and just about to make the step up into the under 23s and doing it in fine form, great fashion. Aidan Tuvey, there's the National Road Series leaders jersey in second position, the new look jersey for 2018, Cycling Australia's NRS. And the pace still being forced. The ACA, Australian Cycling Academy, based on the Sunshine Coast, working in conjunction with the university up there.
Just right to the finish, Kate. Right to the finish. We're probably going to see you're going to get a chance to go and get that reset. There you go. That's what you've been looking for, mate. You can come in. Go and get yourself checked out.
A lot of the ACA guys all lined up towards the front here. 2 intermediate sprints, time bonuses on offer. And a lot of shuffling can be done. Plowright only tenths of a second ahead of Sam Welsford in the overall classification. And they rounded out to seconds. They're on the same time. But Plowright leads ahead of Welsford. Tristan Ward, the former mountain biker, did a great time trial to be third on the stage, 1 second behind Plowright. Jared Drisners from the South Australian Institute of Sport, he was fourth, 1 second back as well. And it's the whistle for the first of the 2 intermediate sprints. Time bonus is up next time, and ACA, the Australian Cycling Academy, very prominent on the front, trying to look after their man Sam Welsford. If he can pick up the first intermediate sprint, that'll put him into the virtual race lead ahead of Jensen Plowright. 5th overall is Raphael Freienstein. He sits at 3 seconds. 5 riders sitting at 3 seconds. It's Freienstein, Toby Orchard, Cooper Sayers, Keller O'Brien and Jack Sutton. Another 4 sitting down at 4 seconds. In 10th place is Riley Fleming. 11th, Anthony Giacopo, Liam White and also Jordan Villani. He's in 13th place. So still very close between everybody, as you'd expect after such a short opening time trial of 1.6 kilometres. Halfway around the circuit now, half a lap to the first of the intermediate sprints. ACA prominent towards the front, looking after Sam Welsford. They have to get around this the final corner though, really treacherous. Still patchy conditions. The road hasn't completely dried out. We saw a crash in the final corner of the women's Criterium. Charlotte Lucas went down. We'll give you an update on her once we get some information on her condition. And it's a really short straight from the final corner to the finish line. So first round, the final corner. In each of the sprints we saw, the 2 intermediates and the final sprint for the stage in the women's. So they've just come through for that first intermediate. Didn't quite pick it up though on camera. So we'll have a look at the virtual standings to see who came across the line first. The good thing, everyone got around the final corner without going down. So that's the main thing. They were able to get around that final turn, which has been very, very dangerous so far today. Well, ACA, as I look at the confirmation, ACA did a great job. Sam Welsford first across the line in that intermediate sprint. Time bonus is on offer. Points as well, 5.321 in terms of the points classification, but it's the 3, 2 and 1 bonus seconds that we're most interested in. And Welsford came away picking up the bonus points and the seconds ahead of his teammate Cameron Scott. So a great lead out from that team to go first and second across the line. Raphael Freienstein, he came across in third place ahead of Jared Drisners from the South Australian Sports Institute. So Welsford, Scott, Freienstein and Drisners, the first 4 across the line. So that will put Sam Welsford into the virtual race lead ahead of Jensen Plowright. So new race leader after the first intermediate sprint, Sam Welsford. He won a stage at the Tour of the Great South Coast. He won 2 gold medals at the Commonwealth Games earlier this year. One of the most thrilling scratch race finals I have ever seen. I was privileged enough to actually commentate it. It was incredible to watch the way he finished off the last couple of laps to come away with gold. And what a time the Team Pursuit riders put in to win gold at the Commonwealth Games, breaking a world record. The new race leader here, the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley. One more bonus sprint to come, and then that's final kick to the line. At the last National Road Series round, it was the Tour of the Great South Coast. The opening Criterium stage was won by Michael Freeberg. Freeberg not here, riding for the Benelong Swiss Wellness team, but he's not on the start line today. So Anthony Giacoppo, who was second in the final stage, the final Criterium stage of that tour last week in Portland, he'll be the man perhaps that they'll be trying to get to the finish line today. Benelong Swiss Wellness, they've got the overall NRS lead in the team's classification and the individual riders classification. And can they come away with the stage win as well here? Stage 2, Sam Miranda, Tour of the King Valley. We're in Barnawaffa, only about 20 kilometres south of Wodonga, just off the Hume Highway at the Wodonga TAFE's testing ground, motor circuit they have here. Oliver's Real Food and Inform Make just getting off the front now. Not much of a gap though, so being closed down pretty quickly. Phoenix Racing, Benelong Swiss Wellness in the mix there. Ooh, real close effort there. Just we saw the Mobius Bridge Lane rider coming through that final corner, almost over the handlebars. That was nasty. Really tricky situation there. Just one of the Mobius riders just jumped towards the front and went to be first into that final corner, not going on the attack or anything. He looked as if he was going to at this point. And as he's come in, tipped it in, he must have hit his pedal. Well, no, the back wheel slid out a little bit, so you could just see still slippery conditions here. He took a look over his left shoulder, and then the back wheel gave way. A bit of a tank slapper there for the Mobius Bridge Lane rider. 18 laps to go. Would have got the heart rate up. Seems to have all settled down after those first couple of laps. A few crashes, pace was really on, and now they've bunched up for the first time, really. It's been strung out for most of the race, and as soon as I say that, the attacks start coming. Mobius once more on the attack. Now 5 riders trying to get away now. Little group of 4, one of the ACA guys hasn't been able to bridge across. Wouldn't expect the ACA riders to be too serious about trying to go on the attack, more so trying to close the brakes down for Sam Welsford. They would have to be confident about delivering him for this final sprint. successfully around the final corner once more. 4 riders just starting to get a little bit of a lead over the peloton, being led by Inform Make. Not that much of a gap though. And the peloton really strung out and riding fast. It'll be a big effort for any group to try and get away from such a fast-moving peloton. Well, the gap starting to ease up a little bit, opening up. And it is Jensen Plowright. Had to take a second look there, but in the pink jersey. The winner from the time trial this morning, the youngster. He's only turned 18, just turned 18. Still technically an under-19 rider. And a stage win in the National Road Series in that time trial this morning. In the pink overall race leader's jersey. In the virtual standings, though, he sits now in 2nd position behind Sam Welsford. But so good to see the youngster on the attack, putting himself right in the mix. The chasers on, though, the peloton. They can see the danger in this group getting off the front. We didn't see many moves in the women's race. So many sprinters and sprinters teams shutting things down for the women's peloton. And there's very little breeze out here, so the conditions ideal for a fast-moving peloton. Very difficult for a group of 4 riders to get away. Jason Lee from Benelong Swiss Wellness, flick of the elbow from him. So he's just done a big turn on the front to try and shut things down. Swung off, asking to get someone else to come through and try and close this gap down. So the gap not big enough yet for any of the teams to really put in a concerted effort to try and shut things down. Inform Make now come to the front again, and a flick of the elbow from them as well. Drisners is the next one to come through, and he'll finish the job off. Aidan Tuvey on his wheel. So a little bit over a lap off the front, the 4 riders, including the race leader after the time trial, Jensen Plowright, 2nd place overall. Great to see him in the mix, but you've also got to ask the question, if you're sitting 2nd place in the overall classification on a fast-flowing criterium like this, can you expect to be allowed to get any lead in a breakaway group so early in the race? It was never going to happen. Cam Bailey now from Benelong Swiss Wellness on the attack. A strong man from South Australia. Plowright trying to close that one down as well. It's Kel O'Brien from ACA on his wheel. Oh, Plowright certainly showing himself. Bailey, look over the shoulder. So Plowright had it to close the gap, but not so much really just to keep going on with it. He's already put in such a big effort on the last lap, being in that 4-man break anyway. So all back together. Stage 2, the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley here in Barnawatha. Aidan Tuvey now. So the NRS overall leader goes on the attack. You'd expect this to cause a bit of a reaction back in the main field. Tuvey won the final Criterium stage when he won the overall tour at the Battle Recharge, round 2 of the National Road Series. His teammate Nathan Elliott come away with the win in round 1, which was the Grafton to Inverell. And there's Aidan Tuvey, the overall leader, cruises through, tongue in the cheek. Backed off now. You can see the peloton bunching up as the speed at the front of the peloton has slowed down. Halfway here in stage 2. Another attack, this time from the Drapac EF Education team. Liam McGuinness, the young Victorian, he picked up a stage win at the Tour of the Great South Coast last week. Well, the peloton here for the elite men all bunched up halfway through stage 2, a 48-kilometre criterium here at the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley. And the King Valley, this region, famous or perhaps infamous for its heritage and connection to the bushranger Ned Kelly, and someone trying to steal a march on the peloton from the Mobius Bridge Lane team, just jumping off the front. But it was Ned Kelly back in the day that was stealing a lot more than an attack to try and pick up a stage win. Glen Rowan, just down the road from Wangaratta, part of the King Valley, certainly synonymous with one of our most well-known bushrangers, Ned Kelly.
Another day is dawning, a new song on the air. A brand new hope is forming, adventure take me there. It's a new day for me. I feel it in my bones, I feel alive, I am set free. It's a new day for me, and nothing in this world will interfere. This is my year.
Plenty to do in Glen Rowan and throughout the King Valley itself. The Sam Miranda Winery is in the small town, the village of Oxley, just near Millawa. Turn off at Wangaratta and head towards the town of Bright. You go through Oxley, through Millawa, and you can head up to Mount Hotham or the other way towards Falls Creek. Stage 2 of the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley, and a little group has got themselves just off the front. 4 teams represented. So a strong little group here, and with, in particular, the 3 teams in Bennelong Swiss Wellness as they come to 13 laps to go. Looks like Elliot Schultz from ACA and Inform Make. So they're 3 really prominent teams that will not be wanting to chase this one down. It'll come down to the other teams to try and do that. So they do have a bit of a chance to maybe get a bit more of a gap over the field. Neuro KOM Financial Advice in the mix as well. Good to see some more teams and more sponsors getting involved in the National Road Series. Well, this is the biggest gap that we've seen so far. Stage 2 of the elite men here, the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley. It's not a big gap, but it's the biggest one that we've had so far. Such a fast flowing circuit on a motor circuit like this. And we just saw on the live coverage, we did get the big thumbs up from Troy Herfoss. I'm sure he'd love to be down here on a motor circuit. The former Australian Superbike champion. He'd probably like to do it on a treadly, but I'm sure he'd much prefer to be on a superbike around a circuit like this one. So much faster on a motorbike than on a treadly. Now the chase is certainly on now. You can see just how strung out it is at the back of the field. 4 riders still off the front. 1 rider now trying to jump across.
So 4 away, and I tell you what, yeah, trying to get across. I tell you what, if we get a stick of rain, everybody's going to be interested in letting them stay away. So that's going to be on.
12 laps to go. Peloton flying around the corner at the back though. 4 riders off the front. But with the peloton really starting to chase things down, and it is the ACA guys that have really started to go to the front now and get themselves ready. Not too far now from the next of the intermediate sprints. So they are quite keen to get this breakaway group back into the peloton to set things up for Sam Welsford for the next intermediate. He picked up the first one. That's put him into the overall race lead, or the virtual race lead. Ben Van Dam sitting at the back of the bunch of the breakaway group there. The Nero KOM Financial Advice Racing Team. And you can see they have been joined by another rider, but the pace has gone off and the peloton's about to come into shot. All shut down. Just a couple of passengers in the breakaway group. That was enough to shut it all down. Pace came out of it and the peloton all back together now, but very much strung right out around this field. Sweeping around the penultimate bends. And as we saw with the women's stage 2, it's all about setting yourself up for the final corner. From the final turn to the finish line, it's such a short amount of distance. Have to be first or second through that final corner if you're going to have a chance to go for the win. It'll be Bell this time. So the second of the intermediate sprints, 11 laps to go. I say Bell, sorry, whistle. Bell for the last lap, of course. Whistle for the intermediates. Inform Make trying to do their thing for Raphael Freienstein. Second in the overall classification of the National Road Series. 20 points behind Aiden Tuvey. And he won the final Criterium stage in Portland. Very prominent, impressive performance from Raph Freienstein in that final Criterium. They were having intermediate sprints every 2 laps. He was in so many of them and then was able to come away with the stage win as well. Headwind finish, come around the corner, the final turn, third wheel, and then powered into the draft and around the outside to pick up the stage win. No, it's a headwind again here today on this particular circuit, but nowhere near as strong as it was in Portland at the end of the Tour of the Great South Coast. So Inform Make just a little bit off the front. That's Kell O'Brien in second position. Aiden Tuvey's in the mix there as well. Just trying to eyeball Sam Welsford, the winner of the first of the intermediates. He's the virtual race leader now, ahead of Jensen Plowright. Plowright won the time trial this morning, but the bonuses on offer for the intermediate was good enough. There's Welsford. You could see a bit of argy-bargy, elbows out. It's full elbows out racing here. We're in Barnawatha. It's the Wodonga TAFE testing ground. It's a motor circuit, and these guys are really putting it to each other. It's the big lead out, absolutely flying. Kell O'Brien into the final bends. 3, 2 and 1 seconds up for grabs. And Welsford out of it. So Sam Welsford. Oh, I mentioned O'Brien, it's Welsford, sorry. Welsford around the final corner. He went early. Drisner's second. So Welsford picks up the 2 of the intermediates. That'll extend his overall race lead. Jared Drisner's second across the line. So that keeps himself right in the mix. Drisner's was up there after the time trial. He was in 4th place overall. So O'Brien had done the job. Welsford went early, sprinted into the final corner, and you can see how short it is from the final corner to the finishing line. Powerful sprint, 2 from 2 so far from Sam Welsford. Bit of a smile and a shake of the head from Jared Drisner's. Raphael Freienstein from Inform Make. He came across the line to pick up 1 second in 3rd. Benelong Swiss Wellness on the attack. Freienstein straight onto the wheel. Kel O'Brien's there as well. So the pace doesn't ease up for much. Constantly on the attack. But just the nature of these sorts of courses, these circuits, they're so fast. Very difficult for any groups to get any kind of lead over the main field. Raf not wanting to go on with that one, so that's shut things down. And one of the Drapac EF Education, powered by Cannondale teams, moves up around the outside. That's Liam White. Flick of the shoulder from Raf. Doesn't want to be on the front for too long. The pink leader's jersey there, Jensen Plough right in the middle, the youngster, young Victorian, only 18. Inform Make and Oliver's Real Food now. 9 laps to go. 9 laps remaining, stage 2. Sam Miranda, Tour of the King Valley. Liam McGuinness it is from the Drapac team, just jumping across. Benelong Swiss Wellness quickly onto that one though. They know the power of the youngster McGuinness. Stage winner from the Tour of the Great South Coast last week. Oliver's Real Food. Nick White rides for Oliver's Real Food Racing. Really did impress at the Tour of the Great South Coast. Very fast sprinter, and it's only a matter of time that he's going to put himself on the top of the podium in the National Road Series. So confirmation of that second intermediate sprint. The time bonuses are up for grabs. Taken out by Sam Welsford, ahead of Jared Drisners from the South Australian Sports Institute. Raphael Freienstein from Inform Make, he was third. And Anthony Giacopo from Benelong Swiss Wellness, fourth across the line. So the virtual race standings now see Sam Welsford with a 7-second lead over Jared Drisners, and then 9 seconds in third place is Raf Freienstein, and then Jensen Plowright in the leader's jersey coming into the stage after winning the time trial this morning. He sits in fourth place at 10 seconds. So it's been a great performance from Sam Welsford to put himself into the overall race lead with a handy buffer of 7 seconds over Jared Drisners. Freienstein, as we saw at the last round, put him always being competitive in the intermediate sprints, and the youngster Plowright really not being able to perform against those powerful sprinters. He's a name for the future though. Tristan Ward in fourth place, the ex-mountain biker, so he's doing a great job as well, the conversion from dirt to road. So the focus now comes on the stage win. Intermediate sprints are all said and done. And it's about the final push, the stage win up for grabs. They all know now, after those first 2 sprints, how important it is to be in the first position going into that final corner. But if they go too early, there is a strong chance that the riders in second or third can come over the top. It's a short straight to the line, but crucial to be in the top 3 into that final corner. Tim Rowe from Benelong Swiss Wellness now, just driving the pedal along forward. Well, it really has been a fast course, fast-flowing course, but there have been some attacks. A couple of laps earlier, we saw one of the prominent moves, 9 laps to go. A few riders going off the front. Off to the right there was Liam McGuinness. Look over the shoulder to see if he was going to get any sort of gap over the field. Jumped across. He was strong at the last round of the NRS and hoping to do something again. Good time trialer. Won the time trial at the University Games in Europe just a few weeks back. So carrying great form, Liam McGuinness for the Drapac EF Education Cannondale team. 7 laps to go now. Pace seems to have come off. It's not strung out so much. Bennelong Swiss Wellness prominent on the front. Jason Lee leads them through. Look over the shoulder from several of their riders, just looking to see where Aiden Tuvey is. Too early to start the lead out. 7 laps of a 1.6 kilometre circuit. Far too early to hit to the front to think about doing a strong lead out for the final sprint. Just trying to control the tempo though. Jason Lee sits on the front of the main field. One of the Drapac riders just off the front a little bit now though. They'll be happy with their association with the World Tour Drapac team, no doubt. EF Education first, Drapac, with Simon Clark picking up a stage win at the Vuelta a España, his second in recent years. Former winner of the King of the Mountain competition of the Vuelta, winning stage 6 in fine form. Inform Make now going on the move. So plenty of willingness to go on the attack, but individuals on a circuit this fast, it's impossible, virtually impossible to try and get any kind of gap over the main field. Stewie Smith, that is. Gippsland boy running for Inform Make. He's still off the front now, but just being controlled behind though. Bennelong Swiss Wellness, not desperate to try and shut it down to Smithy. Comfortably cruising along. Six laps to go. Stuart Smith across the line for Inform Make. Bennelong Swiss Wellness. Brendan Davids leads them, the peloton through for Bennelong Swiss Wellness. The South African, now living in Adelaide. Winner of the Battle Recharge Tour last year. His first race in the National Road Series, first race in Australia. Won an individual stage by 6 minutes and went on to dominate the Tour overall. It was an extraordinary performance 12 months ago. Also rode for South Africa in the Commonwealth Games earlier this year on the Gold Coast. And you got the power of someone like Brendan Davids just riding a domestique role for your team. You know you're going to be hard to beat as a team overall. But does Bennelong Swiss Wellness have the sprinting power to come away with the stage win here, stage 2 of the Sam Miranda Tour of the Great South Coast? Anthony Giacoppo surely is their main sprint man. That said, Aiden Tuvey, the overall series leader for Bennelong Swiss Wellness, did win the final stage of the Battle Recharge Criterium in Mawulumbar, so he can handle himself in a sprint. He's been strong in the harder stages of the NRS this season, Aiden Tuvey, but he can put a sprint on when he really needs to. Look over the shoulder from Stuart Smith. He knows it's all over now. Spent a lap off the front before absorbed back into the peloton. Brendan Davids from Bennelong Swiss Wellness shuts that one down. Oliver's real food now. One rider on the front. Several of the Australian Cycling Academy riders in front. Jesse Coyle, I think it was, just on the right, shots coming a lap behind. And you can hear the shouts and the yelling now. The riders really starting to get organised. I know they're getting closer to that point where they do need to commit to the lead-out train. So shuffling in the peloton as they're getting close to the final sprint here. Stage 2 of the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley. Jason Lee leads them around turn 1. down towards the back part of the circuit here. Tim Rowe in second position from Benelong Swiss Wellness. Nick Schultz, the youngster from ACA, in the light blonde with the white body. There's the National Series leader Aidan Tuvey in the white, yellow and green NRS leader jersey. Mobius Bridge Lane now on the attack. Several of their riders just coming back from a stint in the US. They had a great opportunity, the Mobius Bridge Lane team, by getting a start in the Tour of Utah. AMR Renault it is now on the attack. Haven't seen too much from the AMR Renault guys. They were fairly prominent at the Tour of the Great South Coast. Julian Thompson and Nick Simpson, quite aggressive on the more difficult stages at that last round of the NRS. Still a long way to go though for a solo rider. Approaching the final corner once more. It's just a reshuffling of teams in the main field. Benelong Swiss Wellness still there on the front of the field. ACA well represented. Oliver's Real Food also in the mix, looking after Nick White. 4 laps to go. It's AMR Renault on the attack. Down at the end of the finishing straight one more time. They'll come around and get 3 laps to go. Jake Marriott it is, New Zealander from AMR Renault. It's been such a good proving ground for the New Zealand cyclists. Majority of the Kiwis that have crossed the Tasman to come to the National Road Series have really left a mark. The strongest New Zealanders, they make the effort to come across to Australia to ride the National Road Series, and they certainly are impressive. Jake Marriott, just another one of those Kiwis to come along and really show something. Huge effort from Marriott. Almost the impossible task to do it on your own in the closing couple of laps, with so many of the sprinters' teams looking to protect their main men. Benelong Swiss Wellness did do it. Now it's up to ACA. They've come to the front to look after Sam Welsford. Cameron Scott is another fast finisher who was second in that the first of the 2 intermediate sprints. But I have been told he was a little bit ill last week, so not in great form perhaps coming into this, but a stage win at the Tour of Qinghai Lake in China recently certainly shows he has the goods when it comes to bunch finishes. 3 laps to go now. Spread right across the road here. Now the lead-out trains are really starting. Lots of yelling, left, left, right, right from all of the riders in the teams. Left-hand side of the picture, Benelong Swiss Wellness doing their lead-out. On the right-hand side, the Australian Cycling Academy trying to prepare their man Sam Welsford for this final couple of laps. Onto the front once more, Benelong Swiss Wellness looking after Aidan Tuvey. Anthony Giacoppo just sitting in behind him. So Tuvey and Giacoppo, the National Road Series leader and their main sprint man, all lined up from Benelong Swiss Wellness, getting ready for this final sprint. Just under 2.5 laps remaining now. Stage 2 here, the Miranda Tour of the King Valley. 2 big road stages to come. Stage 3, deep into the heart of the King Valley on the Strada Nero, the black roads of the King Valley, the dirt roads. And with all the rain we've had, certainly going to be very interesting when we get onto the dirt roads of the King Valley for Stage 3. And then a more difficult climbers stage for Stage 4 to finish things off. The Tasmanian boys now. St Luke's Health. Tasmanian Institute of Sport team coming towards the front. Second position there. Zach Gilmore. Youngster Zach Gilmore. It's a famous name in in Tasmanian cycling, the Gilmore clan. Every time they come down this finishing straight, they just fan across the road. The lead-out trains, left and right. So these last few laps really has been a battle between Benelong Swiss Wellness trying to lead out their men, Anthony Giacopo and Aidan Tuvey, and the Australian Cycling Academy ride Sunshine Coast. Abbreviation is ACA, but they're based up on the Sunshine Coast in collaboration with the university there just outside of Noosa. So Australian Cycling Academy ride Sunshine Coast. They're trying to set up Sam Welsford. He's won the 2 intermediate sprints so far. 1 more remains, and that's the big one. It's for the stage win. Only 2 riders now left on the front for Benelong Swiss Wellness. Tuvey sits in 3rd. Giacopo, you can see, sits a little bit higher in the handlebars than the other riders, but very, very fast when it comes down to sprinting. The veteran from Western Australia. Could be the battle between the 2 Western Australians. Welsford, the younger of the 2, Commonwealth Games champion, world record holder in the team pursuit, up against the veteran Anthony Giacopo. He's won so many stages and tours, overall races within the National Road Series. 1 lap to go, 1.6 kilometres remain. Stage 2 of the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley. And it's a 2-team battle at the moment. 1 lap out, trying to get the better of each other. Benelong Swiss Wellness cycling team. On the left-hand side of the screen, the Australian Cycling Academy ride Sunshine Coast. On the right-hand side, the 2 most powerful teams in the National Road Series in terms of this scenario, trying to do the big lead-outs for the final sprint. At the moment, it's Benelong Swiss Wellness, just slightly in front. Kell O'Brien is the first of the ACA riders. Welsford, the stocky man, sitting in behind them. Tuvey now comes to the front, so the NRS overall series leader. He's doing the job for Anthony Giacopo. Where's Raphael Freienstein? He's been so prominent within the National Road Series in these type of stages. He rides for the Inform Make team, 2nd in the overall National Road Series. Has a good chance this weekend to get that overall NRS lead back from Aidan Tuvey. Tuvey now doing the big lead out, up to the penultimate corner. Big sweeper as they head back towards that final bend, the final turn with such a short straight to the finish line. It's so important for the teams to set their sprinters up very early. The sprint starts before the final corner. There's Tuvey on the front. Kell O'Brien on the right-hand side. Giacopo perched right up on the top. He's gone early, Giacopo. Sam Welsford was the first to move. There's the Western Australian. There's been a crash. Looks like Nick White, maybe from Oliver's Real Food Racing, has gone down. Welsford first round the final corner, powering up the finishing straight. Plenty of time to celebrate as well. Sam Welsford. What a performance. The Australian Cycling Academy ride Sunshine Coast, set their man up perfectly to come away with the stage win. Giacopo was certainly in the mix, looked after well by his team. 3 sprints on offer today, 2 intermediates and the final stage sprint, and he picked up all 3 of them. The powerful Commonwealth Games champion, Sam Welsford. What a powerful ride from the young Western Australian. So So unfortunate to see, I think it would have been Nick White that may have gone down as the lead up towards that sprint. The best of the sprinters within the Oliver's Real Food Racing team. He has been prominent within the National Road Series over the last couple of rounds. Looked like a clip of wheels perhaps. Welsford was the first to go. He and Giacoppo, you can just see them fighting for that position into the final corner. Just a little bit further back we see the Oliver's rider, clip of wheels, and down he went. Down went hard as well. So that's really unfortunate. So we've seen 2 crashes in the final corner here in both men's and women's criteriums. But Welsford, around that final corner, he went in there first, powered out of it comfortably. As he came up to the line, Cameron Scott, his teammate in the Australian Under-23 leaders jersey of the National Road Series, he comes across the line in second position. So a 1-2 for the powerful Australian Cycling Academy Ride Sunshine Coast team. Looks like perhaps Jared Drisner's may have been third across the line to pick up a great result from him. Really has stepped up in the National Road Series this year.
Good job, Jizzle. Thanks, bro. What'd you get first? Yeah. Yeah, then Cam.
Well, as we saw in the women's race, it was a crash on the final corner, which is, the roads were very wet then, not so wet for the men's race, but you got yourself around there, Jared. Great performance to come across in third place on the stage, I think it was. Sam Welsford, he was the favourite going in, and he was the first into that final corner. What were you trying to do? What could you do to try and get the better of him?
With Welsford, you just got to try and match him. Like, I come up against him in both sprints as well, and had no chance really. I tried, but yeah, wasn't getting over him.
But you're putting yourself in the mix, so obviously it's a great confidence booster to be so consistently right up there.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty good. It's pretty hectic as well in those last couple of laps, but yeah, it gets to heart racing, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, so we've still got 2 big road stages to come, so what are you going to try and do? Like, I know just off camera Sam's standing here, so we can't give away too much, but what are you going to try and do to get the better of him in the next couple of days?
I'll try and do my best. I mean, they got a real strong team here, so yeah, they're always going to be in a good position, but yeah, just doing my best.
Oh, well done. Congratulations. Third on the stage here, stage 2 of the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley for Jared Drisner, the youngster from the South Australian Institute of Sport. Second in the overall classification, I'm pretty sure. So great position to be in.
Yeah, cheers, Scott. Appreciate it.
Well done to Jared. Come on over, Sam. We'll talk to Sam, the stage winner. Sam Welsford. So 3 sprints up for grabs, and you were pretty greedy, mate. You got all 3 of them.
Yeah, it's a pretty good stage for me today. We had a good plan to go out there and be on the front foot and get these preems because, you know, as we found out in South Coast, a lot comes down to the wire. So, yeah, big emphasis for us to get these sprints, and like I've had enough to hold on. And the boys rode perfect in the last 4 laps for me, so it was awesome.
Well, wasn't that a battle? It was a battle between your team and Bennelong Swiss Wellness just to try and set your sprinters up. And in the end, I guess you guys won out, so you must be pretty rapt with how they performed.
Oh, mate, the boys hands down were absolutely perfect today. Like, first time we've all 7 of us have been together racing NRS, and I think we were perfect. You know, we rode beside Bennelong, and hats off to them. They took the initiative and rode the front. So, yeah, it was an awesome race, and I'm so proud of the boys. They did so well.
How nervous was it, knowing how crucial that final corner was? And you obviously did it very well in the intermediate sprints, but it was desperation, wasn't it, to get to their first for that final sprint? You know, how nervous in the peloton was that?
Yeah, it was pretty antsy and pretty dicey coming into that last kind of chicane. And yeah, after the first sprint, I knew, you know, the line was at that chicane. You had to be in there first because there wasn't enough road to, you know, get out of the seat and go after that corner because we were hitting it at 60 plus. So it was pretty on the limit, but it was really good fun.
70 plus. Surely it was faster than that, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't look down. I was just looking at holding the wheel.
Well, the National Road Series for you has done very well. You started obviously incredibly well with you know, gold medals at the Commonwealth Games. You know, things are looking up, and we've got only 2 years to Tokyo. Yeah,
that's the end goal for me. These NRS races are, you know, good building events, and you know, I really like to get some road race results. It's I think in the back of my mind after Tokyo to do a bit of road. So it's been awesome to come here and race the National Series and get some good results.
Yep. Well done. Congratulations on winning stage 2. That puts you into the overall lead as well. 2 more stages to come in the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley. So Sam Welsford putting yourself in a fantastic position so far.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Now we can get second on the stage, Sam's teammate, Cameron Scott. Come on over, Cam. Now I was told, you know, Cam's in the Under-23 National Road Series Leaders jersey. I was told that you were sick this week. So you're obviously doing pretty well if that's the case.
Yeah, look, had a pretty rough last 2 days, but finally felt pretty average this morning, but it kind of opened me up a little bit, so Oh, yeah, I came really good in that.
Were you nervous coming in sick with the weather the way it was? Because the time trial this morning was atrocious conditions. It did dry up for this afternoon, but racing 2 stages in this sort of weather, normally not that good for your health.
Yeah, you know, wind and rain's never really good, especially when you're sick. So I think copped it a little bit last week at the South Coast. So, you know, pretty happy to try it up in the, you know, the last few laps of this crit today.
Oh, well, fantastic performance from you for second, and we'll just put that down as the excuse. That's the only reason your teammate won, is because you've been sick all week.
Oh yeah, let's call it that.
Well, second on the stage, Cameron Scott. So great performance from your team. We can have a look at the overall standings now after 2 stages of the Sam Miranda Tour of the Great Sam Miranda King Valley, Tour of the King Valley, I should say. So the overall classification, what a performance it's been from Sam Welsford. Now stretching that lead out to 11 seconds over Jared Drisner's, and Cameron Scott, who we just spoke to, second on the stage, but sitting there in 3rd place overall. With 2 more stages to come, Raphael Freinstein, he's second in the overall series lead, but puts himself up there as well, 4th here. So he's really looking good to maybe take that overall series lead back from Aiden Tuvey, which he lost only in last week's race, the Tour of the Great South Coast. So 2 stages down for the women and the men here in the King Valley, and we really do go into the actual King Valley. Stage 3 is where it's really going to light up. It's the dirt roads of the King Valley, the Strada Nero, the black dirt roads. They're going to play a massive role in this tour, and we're certainly looking forward to it. So make sure you stick around, and we'll catch you for stage 3.